September is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. I'm Tina Cosby with WTLC's Community Connection. And here with us now is Lorenzo Lewis. Lorenzo, you have been with us for on a number of different occasions throughout the course of World Suicide Prevention Day.
Yes.
But in observance of just the month and finding out what this month means and the importance and the significance of this particular month. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this month is I would like to say, in light of, education and being in suicide prevention, understanding what suicide prevention is, what that looks like when it leads up to, suicidal ideations and what it looks like
Yeah.
leading up to suicide. And also just having a healthy state of emotional health. So really today, I believe, is just honoring that, that there is hope, that there are resources and services that are available. And really by bringing communities and people together to know that we should be watchful for these signs of isolation, people being withdrawn, people favorably may not be in the mood as much as they would have been in the past, and really just paying attention to those signs and really just being very close and monitoring it as well.
When it comes to the areas of suicide prevention, suicide awareness, mental health in minorities, especially black males, a lot of people look to you as a source of inspiration, as a source of resources.
Yes.
So
yes.
tell us your story and why you are such a source of inspiration.
So my story started, as I tell people, I was born in incarceration. My mother was incarcerated. I was born in '88, and she was incarcerated, actually, her and my father at the time, and just living a life of going through depression and different issues that I had, and anxiety, coming from a family tree of mental illnesses, and being a part of the juvenile justice system at the age of 17. I was a part of just so many different traumatic experiences and issues that allowed my mental illness to go untreated, to allow myself to, my depression was much more of an issue as I got older and even through my younger teens. So my story intersects the solutions of what the Confess Project is doing with young men of color and giving that support, that education, and a lot of the work around prevention as well, so that we can live just a quality of life.
And you mentioned the Confess Project, and you took your life.
Yes.
Your life story and created the Confess Project.
I did, yes.
So can you tell us about that and what the project is? And
Yeah,
what
so
it does?
the Confess Project is a national grassroots movement that is geared around building a culture of mental health for young men of color. We are a capacity building and training organization. A lot of our work intersects with barbers and barbershops, and we train barbers to become mental health advocates. We also provide trainings as well to public schools and institutions, as we realize that the culturally relevant strategies are important, so that we can also decrease the issues around mass incarceration, school to prison pipeline, some of these other broader issues that stimulate distressed emotional health for young men of color.
Why young men of color? Why are they at risk? And why barbershops?
Young men of color obviously deal with a lot of just the things normally around masculinity and just their identity in general. Men are obviously black men are less likely to receive higher employment opportunities than their white counterparts. Also, black men are more likely to be incarcerated. So we realize that if that's the case, there got to be a lot of emotional trauma and issues that are present. And our work is to help build upon that emotional and mental health support, so that we can see that communities can thrive and be healthier.
Yeah, indeed. So how long have you been doing the work?
Going on 4 years now. I've been in behavioral health for over a decade. So.
Over a decade, okay.
Yeah, so I started when I was 21. I tell people I was incarcerated at 17, and I was a blessing to work in the field at the age of 21, and from the age of 21 to a little bit over 30, I was working in facilities and outreach with clients from the ages of 5 to 65 with severe mental illnesses. And then that's when the Confess Project started, when I saw the need in behavioral health. It was such a gap there working in facilities, and I saw that when a lot of them would transition out of the facilities, that there was no support that they can have that can identify with who they are and who they showed up to be. So that's when the work was really started at that point.
So what turned it around for you personally?
My turning point was, I got out of college there, getting my master's degree, and I realized it was a moment there where I said I've realized I had overcome so much. I just remember sitting there in an emotional space where I lost my mother and father, had just got roughly 2 college degrees, and I realized that there was a much more chance for me to do a lot of great work because of much of where I came from, and that's where I knew that I could start to be a part of that difference of reflecting on my pain and how that was able to overcome that, and that's when the work was really started. I wanted to give back to so many young men that I know that probably don't think it's possible, but I knew it was possible because I had did it, right? And I knew I shouldn't have overcome most of what I did. So that's when I realized that the work needed to be started.
Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have 5 siblings.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are their thoughts? How are they doing? And are any of them in a position to where you've been able to help them get on the right track?
You know, my siblings growing up, just honestly, we wasn't the closest. We're close
Yeah.
enough. We were all separated just due to the just issues of circumstances, right? But we kept, I think, decent communication. I think they're really inspired. I would like to say that they're inspired, that they realize that somebody has made it over, right? And that now that this is a chance for our family to maybe possibly get a better chance at just living and just knowing that it's just not one way to live, that we have multiple opportunities. You know, coming from the rural South, I think sometimes we kind of grew up in a box, not traveling as much, seeing as much, as just being there. Sometimes around a lot of racial tension and a lot of different things that go on there in the South. So the work that I'm doing has really now become a work around the U.S. and I think that I'm helping people to see that things are possible.
So you're based in Arkansas.
Yes, ma'am. Based in Arkansas. I've traveled all over, probably 20 cities, just doing different work. You know. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
So your work has transcended Arkansas, I would say, or would you say that?
Yes, I would like to think that we've lit a fire in Arkansas, but I also like to think that just across the South and even the Midwest, you know, we've done work in Chicago and Louisville as well, Louisville, Kentucky. But yeah, definitely like to think that in Arkansas we're a pillar. We're the only organization there that does work around anything with minority mental health on a grassroots level. So
we here at the stations of Radio 1 have taken this month very seriously.
Yes, ma'am.
And have engaged in a number of conversations, and you've been a part of nearly every one of those conversations across all of our properties. Having been a part of those conversations, and including this one here, listening to callers, talking to different people, talking to different healthcare professionals, different citizens, what have you come away with as a result of those conversations right here at Radio 1?
Yes, I've really been inspired just to know that it's a community that's really taking storm with really doing something about the things that we know that plague, and that's around suicide and, you know, the access of getting that help. So I'm really honored to know that there's a community. This is the first place I've been to and seen a major radio broadcasting system to get behind suicide prevention and mental health awareness, which I think is really powerful. But I've really walked away with knowing that that there is a lot of different support here in Indiana, in the city of Indianapolis, and it's just a matter of information and being informed on how to access these tools and these resources that are available, and just to know that it's hope, you know, and it's so many people that we all go through our different circumstances, but there are ways that we can navigate that.
And that leads into the next question I was going to ask. What is it that we need to be concerned about, and what is it that we can be encouraged by?
We need to be concerned about the lack of information that we may have gotten and not also being educated, that we do need to be educated. We possibly, you know, reading more and being around a support system of people that are informed is really important. I know when I was younger, we could care less about anything about our emotional health because we took it out in rage and anger. And that knowing that there was only a few options that we had, but it was so many more resources and tools. Now I think about I practice meditation and, you know, even trying to, I go to therapy now once or twice a month. So it's just so many more things that I'm able to use that I didn't know that I could use. That's really helped me to win in life. So I think those are just a few things that I can pull out. I think that's helped me, that can help so many other people that's there, you know, in Indianapolis. It's just being able to utilize those supports that you have. You may have a friend or a coworker or somebody that you think that it may be kind of weird of them that they do these things a little bit more different. They may be more inclined to talking about helping people, but those are the people you really want to attach to see that it also help boost you as well.
Yeah. So, and the encouraging aspect of all of it as a result of these conversations.
Yes, ma'am. And just encouraging individuals to speak out, right, and to really to come together. And I always say that, you know, a famous quote that Martin Luther King said is that we're all not in darkness, that we must love in the light, and that we're in the light, and that we love each other, that we'll tend to do positive things and to keep going forward. And just, you know, a lot of it is just really being able to build those relationships with one another and just being positive. I think that really in itself can do a lot. You know, everybody loves to feel important and everybody wants to feel wanted. So when we also understand those two, I think that helps us to just elevate just who we are inside.
Yeah, indeed. So any advice that you would have for the minority communities that we also talked about today, that unfortunately look down on mental illness, mental wellness opportunities, and just mental, mental disorders in general, because there appear to be, based on the information, some of the feedback we get, there appear to be stigmas that are unfortunate in Black and brown communities. So how can you address that?
Yeah, just understanding that the stigma is something that we have to eradicate, and realize that stigma is also only temporary. That if we can be educated, we can overcome stigma.
And some of those stigmas, I guess we should say, that it's a sign of weakness, or that it should be brushed away.
Yes, yes. Or even some of those stigmas of we're not to talk about this, or we're too weak, and so those are. I like to say that those are the things that fuel stigma to staying present, when it should be able to, keeping things to keeping that where we could obviously see that to going away. And I just believe in encouraging people to their language is being really sensitive to language and being non-judgmental. You're realizing that someone that's going through a very difficult time. Please don't judge that person, to understand if that's who they may be in that moment, but while judging them fuels them to not also to really talk out about their problems.
Lorenzo, how has creating the Confess Project and the Confess Project and then the barbershop initiative as a result of that project, what has that meant for you personally, and how has that changed your life? Or maybe I should say, how has it affected your life?
Right. It's affected my life in such a grand way. If you had told me 2 years ago by starting this at home as a pilot that it would turn into now going into 10 cities, and we just did a special with CNN recently and just got some things with Huffington Post. So, I never saw it as being such as a grand thing. I just wanted to meet men where they were and really in the most comfortable space and provide this education. But I also, the more I think about it now, it's been such a powerful thing for me, because I've seen so many men go to therapy, go into rehab, eradicate their substance abuse problem, build a healthier relationship with their wife and their children. So these are some of the impact stories that we've seen in some of the places that we've been, that's really made it all worth it, in this part of it.
So where do you go from here? Where does the Confess Project and Lorenzo Lewis go from here?
Our goal is that we'll continue to expand throughout more cities. Our goal is 10 more cities by the end of December 2020. So another year that we want to take our work across at least 10 more cities. But we want to be able to build our work as well here in Indianapolis and across the Midwest. We've had a lot of interest here in Ohio and Louisville, across the Midwest, St. Louis as well. So we're hoping to build a footprint throughout the Midwest. We realize that the South and the Midwest have some of the more scarcity numbers when it comes to mental illness and access. So we want to continue to build our footprint throughout the Midwest as well, so that we can continue to reach more people.
So as far as the situation regarding African Americans, young males, young females, and mental health and suicide prevention, where would you say we are, and how would you say we're going to get to where we need to be?
Yeah, I like to think that we have to be really encouraged, and that because there is a lack of mental health workers, and they say that it is 2% of African American identified psychiatrists. Well, we know that our behavioral health system is not aligned with who we are and how we feel like the help should be garnered. That there's still hope out there, right? And just knowing that that we do have that opportunity, that we can continue to build upon the momentum of what's being started here with Stop the Music, right? To know that this work is even being done here locally, and even nationally. To know that there's a space in the culture. We're training barbers not only to be advocates, but we're shifting the culture of the barbershop in a place where you may have talked about sports and politics, but we could talk about, man, are you doing okay? Can I help you? Can I be more of a better brother to you? These are things near and dear that we've never really thought of, how it can be used, that can really transform our lives.
Indeed, indeed. Lorenzo, thank you so much for spending so much time with us today and helping us to see our way clear and see our way forward. You've charted quite an impressive path, and we want to continue with your work as well. So come back and see us.
Yes, we'll do. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Lorenzo Lewis with the Confess Project. Yes.